Hello everyone, welcome to Carrow Road. Now I know what you're thinking, this is of course PinUn Matchday Live. You're thinking, hang on, Norwich aren't away this week, there are no coaches. And you're right, there are no coaches. But we thought it'd still be nice if we came to Carrow Road and teed up the action later on here this afternoon, of course, against Bristol City, who are the EFL Championship visitors. Norwich in decent run of form, but fair to say that Bristol City are actually in better form and looking like they might have a proper challenge this year as opposed to last season's relegation struggle. And of course Lee Johnson somehow outlasting Alec Neil with the worst run last season. Those fans were calling for his head. Bristol City stayed with it, and it may be that they're getting their due rewards this season. Still early days though, of course. Paddy, Davitt's here. David Freezer's on the camera. Dave, do you want to nod the camera in acknowledgement? Oh, there you go, look at that. Perfect. Paddy, do you want to come on in? And how are you? You well?
Not too bad, mate. It's feared rain, but there's plenty of cloud, plenty of blue sky above as well.
Yeah, I must admit I was a little bit worried we're going to get caught in a downpour, but we're making the most of this unseasonable weather, given what autumn's been like. We obviously had a lengthy chat on the Facebook page yesterday after Colney. What are your thoughts going into this game, and how big a challenge it is for Norwich? Because Bristol City themselves are probably looking at this thinking, okay, we've had a bright start. If we go and get a positive result again today, then that sort of underlines the work we've done. Yeah,
I think it's quite an intriguing game today, because I must be honest, you kind of focus on Norwich, don't you? You don't get too hung up on what the other teams are doing. So I was a little bit taken aback to see that they only lost one game, and that was earlier in the season, actually 1 in 11. That's an excellent record. Made 9 changes midweek and yet still had enough to beat Stoke in the League Cup. So yeah, I mean, as much as you could say Norwich have hit a rich seam of form, I think these are clearly the form horses in the Championship, and it's a good marker now for me, because we've come through three league games and a League Cup game where there's clear signs of progress defensively. The shape, some players have slotted in. Tom Tribal, for example, really grasped the nettle. But let's see against a very good outfit who are banging form. I saw some quotes from Lee Johnson before in the last couple of days saying he's never had a group of players at Bristol since he's in his time there where he feels every single individual is at the peak of their powers. So in that instance, it could be a very, very big test for Norwich. But on the flip side, looking at it positively, if they come through it again today, and it's only a second defeat for Bristol in 12 games as it would be, then that's another shot in the arm for the optimists who feel that maybe things are looking up and the corner's been turned.
I mean, it's interesting because here Alec Neil came under so much pressure, obviously, before the bubble burst here. Daniel Farke, even in a first few weeks, has had some people going, well, this isn't working. Yeah. Yet we have Lee Johnson, who, I mean, not many fans, excuse me, get beyond that point where the fans have completely turned. But Lee Johnson seems to have done that.
Yeah, I mean, we went, didn't we? I can't think what month it was. March, April, wasn't it, last season? And you're right, your opening comments. I can only imagine that he still had the staunch support of his board and the owners there at Bristol, because to my mind all the fans wanted him out because they were on an absolutely horrendous run. But you know, it's a bit of an anomaly in this day and age where, you know, the average tenure of Football League managers is, I think, something ridiculous like less than 12 months now. They stuck with him. They managed to pull it around and they stayed up, and okay, it's early days yet, but you can see clearly from their results that maybe that faith wasn't misplaced. But I don't know. I mean, by all accounts, they've got 1 or 2 astute loan signings, but I've looked through the squad, and if we're looking at what Norwich got to deal with today, I would back Norwich all day long. So you know, credit, but that in essence, that's credit to Lee Johnson, because there's none of those players I'm looking down their squad list and thinking these are excellent players, probably better than Norwich have got. So you have to tip your hat to the coach. He's done a fine job there this season. Yeah,
spot on, absolutely. Given it's a few hours since we last spoke about the team selections, have you had any more thoughts on who Daniel Farke might play? Because I think there was the Alex Tetty and Harrison Reed debate in my head, and also, I mean, I've done an 11. Should we have a look at it?
Look, mate. Yeah,
should we do that? So there we go. That's the 11 I've done. It's pretty similar, really. Gunn, Pinto, Zimmerman, Closer.
Yeah.
Husband. That's supposed to be Steeperman. In fact, that's not the right one. But actually, what I would do, that I think is from Brentford, so it is. But I think the changes I was looking at were basically Steeperman coming in for Husband, Houlihan coming in, Maddison coming in for Houlihan, and then up top having Cameron Jerome instead of Marley Watkins, and that would leave Reed and Tribal in as the 2 holding midfielders. Whereas you could bring Alex in then at Middlesbrough, Alex Tetty.
We did discuss that yesterday after the press conference, and I could see that logic. But I just think he will probably go with Tete today, just because him and Tribal have been really good, and it would be quite tough on Tete to dip him out for another league game, I think. Obviously didn't feature at Brentford, did he? The only thing I would probably say with that, Steeperman for Husband, I can see that, albeit Husband said it yesterday, I thought that was his best outing at Griffin Park in a Norwich shirt. I think Watkins might have done enough if Maddison isn't quite fit enough. I mean, according to the head coach, he only trained fully Friday morning for the first time all week. He's had a problem with his calves. That's difficult then to feel that he could come straight into the 11. So, and Wes played midweek, I could see him going maybe Murphy, Vrancic and Marley Watkins, keep him in the side behind Jerome in a 4-2-3-1. But it's great to be just having this debate because, prior to the international break, that it wasn't really enough options for us to get into a major selection debate.
No, that's a very fair point. We've got your questions as well. If you're watching on the Facebook feed, sling us your questions and we'll try and get through a few of them. Mickey Bullion, hello Michael. That's me. Hello there, Mickey. Michael. When will the PinkUn show be back on a weekly basis? Well, we're working on it very hard. So hopefully
Did you get him to send that question in?
I didn't, honestly. No, that's good though. I appreciate that. Hopefully come October. Hopefully. We will see. What else have we got? Edward Ivans. We're home again. Think it'll be a close game today. Now, the interesting thing is a close game for Bristol City tends to mean a lot of goals, doesn't it? There's these sort of 4-3s and what have you.
They've got the Championship's top scorer as well. Is it Billy Reid, is it? 6 goals already.
Yeah, Bobby Reid.
Bobby Reid, yeah.
Did a gif with a fire extinguisher. Don't know.
Okay.
Generally not a clue.
Right, fair enough. You've got to raise the GIF levels though, haven't you? These football clubs would appear to have gone into it in a big way. They scored 3 at Wolves and only got a point. I think that tells you all you need to know. But then again, last time out in the league, they put 4 past Derby. So, yeah. And according to Farke, they're not a team who will play, kind of cat and mouse and sit in and try and hit you on the counter. They very much are on the front foot and try and play in the opposition's half. So, as I say, Norwich, without the ball, are going to have to be very good. And Farke himself said in the transition and the turnover, when they lose the ball, then they have to really switch on. And that's why I just think maybe going back to the selections, it could be Tete in there because that's a crucial area of the game for me when they lose possession, Norwich.
Tim Claxton, tough one today. Point would not be a bad result. Interesting, given 2 tough away games coming up as well. Michael Starr lives in Bristol. Hello there, Michael. I think they'll get found out today at Carrow Road.
Bristol will get found out? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Stuart Cousins, is a top 6 finish possible?
Well,
yeah.
Of course it is, yeah. But as I say, they said it yesterday, they play a really good Bristol side in banging form today. Then they go to Middlesbrough Tuesday, finish the week with Reading away. They come through that unbeaten, then yeah, it's all on, definitely.
Edward Ivans asked why upset a defence that's looked really good. So that's probably my wrong graphic, to be honest, because I don't think he will change the defensive lineup. And Sue Cassidy asking the important questions, is my hog roast there? Well, we've got the hog roast van over on the far side, Dave, and Olivia's.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I mean, it's not firing up. I don't know how long it takes to cook a hog, but I'm sure they'll be bang on it for when you get here, Sue. All being well. Right, let's hear, shall we, from some highlights from yesterday's press conference at Colney with Daniel Farke and Josh Murphy, and you can hear much more from the guys over on the PinkUn YouTube channel. But here's Daniel and Josh.
Yeah, I think a big task, so will be a great challenge because, there are 2 teams. We had 2 brilliant last weeks and really good results and good results in the league and in the cup as well. And the same for Bristol. So I think they come here without 1 defeat in the last 8 games. So they're really on fire right now in the moment. But we are too. So it will be a game. So. With 2 teams full of confidence and with a good momentum right now, and it will be a hard test because when you have such a game and such a moment, normally it's a little bit easier for the away game because they can say, yeah, we had good results. It's not so much pressure on the table, and we can stand a little bit deeper and show what watch what happens and can react on different things. So it's normally a little bit more difficult and more complicated for the home team, who is perhaps more pressure for having the result, but it is like it is. So we're looking forward to have this home game, to be allowed to play in front of our fans. And I think it will be important tomorrow, especially when we play against Bristol, who are really on fire right now in the moment, to have the support and all the supporters and all the fans on our side and help us in this really difficult and complicated game, because I think it's a great chance for us to go further on, to make a big step in the table too, and that's what we are planning to do, and that's what we want.
I don't want to bring up Millwall, but I'm going to. Millwall was obviously a fairly meek old 90 minutes and what have you, done and dusted. Since then, the last few games, you've been away from home, the home crowd's been baying for blood because you've been playing dark arts and nasty side and all this sort of stuff. Is there anything conscious in that? Is there a change in the nasty streak in this side?
I don't know, I think it was more the boys trying to get that togetherness, because it was always there, but it was just waiting for that click to happen, and now it's happened. Like, I think everyone's just more aggressive, and it just takes one win to change everything, and we got that win, and you'd say the last 4 or 5 games we've been really good. We've kept 3 or 4 clean sheets. Probably need to score more goals, but we don't look like a team that's going to concede goals at the moment, which is really good for us.
Our home must be our living home and a living room and our fortress, and I got this feeling. So the atmosphere improves from game to game, and also in the away games. I think it was a brilliant support on the Tuesday match in Brentford for a cup away game on Tuesday evening. Was brilliant atmosphere, and we're looking forward to have this home game, because we feel at home and it's our living room, and we want to have a fortress and great atmosphere and lots of noise and lots of passion, and I think that's what we always expect and what we have at home, and we're looking forward to have this feeling again, and to stand together with our fans and with supporters is so important for us, because like I mentioned several times, so football is for fans and is for the supporters, and that's what we always have to have in our mind, so that we play for our fans and that we play together with our fans. It's always I don't feel pressure because it's in a home game. It's more that I enjoy to play in front of our games, in front of our fans this game, and I want to make them happy, and we want to make them happy and want to be successful, and we know it will be a complicated game, but like I mentioned several times, so when we stand together and have a good togetherness, especially with our fans, so it always helps, and we're looking forward to.
And as I said, if you head over to youtube.com/the PinkUn channel, you can hear much more from Daniel and Josh and us guys as well, and all our video content, and this will be up there later too. Paddy's kindly taken over camera duties, doing a sterling job, and Dave's here. Right, Dave?
Yeah, feeling pretty good ahead of today.
So you're looking at a still of Will Smith in Hitch?
Well, I wasn't sure if it was Will Smith or Tim Closer, but
well, there we go. So you can obviously find out what that's about on the YouTube channel. Just for the avoidance of any confusion earlier, here is the team I meant to show up to face Bristol City. You see, I had done it, as I said, with Stiepermann there at left back, but I think probably Paddy was quite right in terms of, I like the idea of Watkins sitting in on the right instead of Vrancic, who would move into the middle, because Maddison's calves might be a bit tight, and we'll see no doubt what happens with Alex Tettey, who will be well worth a start too. Dave, how are you? Are you obviously looking forward to this one?
Yeah, I think this is the start of the real litmus test of a week, isn't it? You know, we've seen progress, we've seen some good things, but clearly you can't get away from the fact that the Burton game here wasn't great. It was being talked about as one of the most boring games in recent years at Carrow Road, wasn't it? So obviously they have to improve upon that. Hopefully Bristol City aren't going to come here and sit in and frustrate in the same way, and certainly you wouldn't imagine they'll start time wasting from the first half. But yeah, if they can get a good result today and then get one win from the 2 away games at Borough and Reading to come next week, then I think they're in a very good place. Yeah,
which was a discussion me and Paddy had yesterday over how many points you'd accept from these 3 games, and there has been a lot of optimism around the place off the back of how results have gone, but as you said, it does feel like you just want to see what happens now as to whether that's backed up or we get to see a bit more of the Burton toothlessness and stuff like that.
It's still early in the season, isn't it? You know, you look at Bristol City last season, they started off like a train as well, and then I think they lost 8 games in a row or something like that, and their season went totally off the rails, and as we saw in whatever it was, March, April, they were battling against relegation. So fair play to them for sticking with Lee Johnson. They've obviously got some good players. No Gary O'Neill today, we're not expecting to see him, but Corey Smith, we all know how he's sort of an Alex Tettey type player, isn't he? So it'd be nice to see him back at Carrow Road today. And Matty Taylor is someone they signed from Bristol Rovers, which is obviously a statement signing, really, isn't it, to sign someone from their bitter rivals? And he's had a bit of a slow start, but he scored for them and they beat Stoke in midweek at home 2-0. So, clearly they are a good team, and if Norwich can get a win today, then I really feel like the confidence can genuinely start to build, rather than just hopes. You can actually start to be confident that Norwich can beat teams like that.
Absolutely. Simon Meadows been in touch. He says winning today will propel our momentum further, which is of course absolutely the key, especially going into those two really tough away games at Middlesbrough on Tuesday and then Reading. William Hart, Yannick to start today, gents. Seems to have finally found his form. Dan Mayhew, I hope Yannick gets a goal. Yannick was he only got a late cameo at Brentford, but it was a little bit hit and miss. But against Sheffield United, he was in good form. You wonder if maybe away from home is where we'll see him shine best, possibly.
Possibly. I like Yannick because he's powerful, isn't he? The thing is, he's not a delicate or a skillful player, is he? He just bundles his way through most of the time. But where we were sat in the press box at Sheffield United, as soon as he hit that shot, we knew it was in, didn't we? We were right behind it, and he's got a decent goal record in his career. Certainly in League One with Wigan, he was tearing it up. So, yeah, I like Yannick. I think he's probably more likely to be an impact player today. And at Brentford on Tuesday, I thought he was a bit of a headless chicken. I think Norwich lost their concentration that last 15 minutes, didn't they? Because they knew they had the game won. The Brentford fans had sort of turned. Some people were leaving, and they weren't happy at all with the level that their team were playing. So, yeah, I think Yannick could still have an impact on this game, and hopefully he can keep his momentum building as well.
More importantly, Sue Cassidy believes the news is excellent that the Hog Roast fan is here, so that's all good, of course. Andrew Burton looking forward to the game. Peter Herring, perhaps it'll be a good test for the defence today, bearing in mind the number of goals Bristol have scored, which is actually a very good point.
Yeah, Matty Taylor is a real fox in the box, isn't he? He's a sort of Jamie Cureton-esque type poacher, and if you give him any kind of scraps, I'm sure he'll be looking to thrive off them. I'm presuming that we'll see Christoph Zimmermann and Tim Closer still together, because you don't want to break that partnership. But there is a slightly awkward situation looming now with Grant Hanley, isn't there, in that he's clearly come here to play football, and he wasn't expecting to be sat behind Christoph Zimmermann, but you can't drop the guy at the moment. He's been very consistent. The amount of minutes he's played is frankly very impressive since he's arrived, considering how much he played in pre-season as well. So that also means there's a bit of pressure on Zimmermann, doesn't there? He knows that he's sort of one bad performance away from Hanley coming in. So hopefully that has a positive impact on him, because they can't afford to let any sort of loose balls around them in the box with Taylor there.
I think what it does do is it gives. I go Grant Hanley will want to play games, but at least it gives him some time to get some condition, which I think is really important. Let's have a quick look, shall we, at the Championship table as it stands. There it is. Leeds are top going into this weekend, followed by Wolves, Cardiff, Preston, Ipswich, who have a game in hand, and Sheffield United are still in the top 6. Norwich there 12th, Bristol City 8th with 13 points from their first 8 games. And it was interesting, Daniel Farke actually mentioned the fact that Norwich could make a big leap forward if they get a positive result today in terms of the table, which I guess means rather than looking at them struggling and scrapping around and having a bit of pressure being where they didn't want to be, they can start looking upwards and being more in a zone where they can focus on the teams around them. But normally managers don't talk about the table. I find it so interesting that Daniel openly is, and he has done for a few weeks.
Normally managers lie, you mean, and say they don't look at the table?
Well, yeah, that's probably true. Yeah.
Next time a manager says that to me, I'm going to call him out on it, because it really annoys me. Oh yeah, we don't look at the table. It's just not true, is it? Obviously Ipswich is something that everyone will be keeping an eye on, because we've got the derby coming up at Portman Road at the end of next month, and you don't want that gap getting any bigger. At the moment, there's still a genuine chance that Ipswich will be above Norwich in the table ahead of a derby game, which would be the first time in probably the best part of the decade, I would have thought. And they technically can go top, can't they, if they win, and they've got a game in hand. So yeah, that's one to keep an eye on. But as much as I say that managers lie and don't look at the table, as I just said a minute ago, it is still early. Until beyond Christmas, it doesn't really matter hugely, does it? You look back at Alex Neil's team, or when Alex Neil came in, promotion wasn't looking particularly likely at that point, was it? Even though they weren't miles off the playoff pace. But then you look at the run they put together, and that very, very nearly got them into automatic promotion, didn't it? Yeah,
indeed it did. And let's have a quick look at the fixtures, shall we? Now, this is the first time I've looked at these. Bolton versus Brentford, Derby, Birmingham, Fulham, Middlesbrough. That will be a very interesting game. Cardiff are at Sunderland, who've got a terrible home record at the moment. Wolves, Barnsley, Leeds, Ipswich. Very interesting. Alec Neil's side host Millwall, QPR Burton, Reading Hull. The evening kickoff is Villa Forest, and then look, there's an interesting game on Sunday, the Sheffield Derby. That will be make very interesting viewing, of course. We've got a few more messages here. Andy Killen saying loving the change in team psychology, and also with Dan Mayhew, do you think Carrow Road will be rocking following Daniel's call? I mean, no doubt the recent run of form will at least help people get back behind it again at Carrow Road, because against Burton it was a little bit annoyed.
Yeah, Burton, it was a frustration, wasn't it? Because you could see it coming from early doors that they had set up to annoy Norwich. But I remember the Birmingham game a few days before that, thinking how much of a big part the crowd played in that game. Late on, when those nerves started to jangle a bit, the crowd really got going in those final few minutes. So, yeah, I feel like it's a collective spirit at the moment. Everybody wants Daniel to be successful and wants this team to be successful because it's been refreshed. The crowd had called for the playing squad to be refreshed, and they're starting to see signs of the things that they wanted to see. So yeah, now it's that point where the crowd have got to start offering their side of the bargain as well, haven't they, and really get behind them when times get tough.
Robin Cutler says Farke wants a great atmosphere at home, but the club have dropped the countdown to on the Ball City at kickoff. A mistake in his opinion, as it got the whole ground going. What I would say though, now they do seem to do it organically, but we'll see.
Which they always used to. When I was younger, you didn't need Adrian Forbes or whoever on the mic to get it going. It was just a, like say, organic thing.
We'll see. And finally, Mickey Bullion. Farke will probably always be compared to Klopp and Wagner. Pleased he's done what Klopp seems insistent on not doing and working on the back line. Think we'll concede today, but fancy a 3-1 win. We'd take a 3-1 win, wouldn't we?
Would. Liverpool fans don't like the zone of marking either, do they?
Yeah, well, I've already explained zone and marking, so it's fine. Dave, thank you very much. Paddy, top work on the camera. Carrow Road, there'll be a game of football here. It kicks off at 3 p.m. Don't forget PinkUn.com/live for full coverage, and PinkUn.com for all the build-up, live coverage, and then fallout on the other side of the game. Make sure you join us then. Until then, fingers crossed for what will hopefully be a positive outcome this afternoon. Goodbye.